Fantasia just got tagged into the ignorant and obligated family trend where ratchet, jealous family members try to publicly shame a celebrity into buying their silence. And the only way to counter it is to completely cut them off by ignoring them.
And it's exactly true, because Fantasia, she doesn't even call this man father anymore. She calls him her donor. And it's unfortunate that these situations have occurred with these family dynamics, because what has come of it is nothing but hurt for the one that they're trying to shame, and that is the celebrity,
right,
or the one that they're talking against, or the one that they have aught against, and the one that they have envy against, the one that they're jealous of. And interestingly enough, this happened in the Michael Jackson family, and TMZ is doing a documentary on that, and they so poignantly pointed to the downfall of Michael's situation right after he did that Pepsi commercial. And they hone in on the fact that his situation started getting bad for him, because after that burn on his head, he had to be on, we know what he had to be on. We know he was in pain 24/7. And what they pointed out with that is that Michael did not want to do that Pepsi commercial.
Right.
But his family, his mother, talked him into doing it out of some sense of obligation.
Yeah, obligation.
Quote unquote obligation to his family. And I said, oh, wow, this is really coming to be something. More and more of these people coming out in these families with envy in their heart, jealousy, and downright irresponsible behavior.
Right.
This was totally irresponsible of this donor. I'm going to give Fantasia the respect of calling him that, because that's what she calls him. This was totally irresponsible of him. He was totally wrong. He was totally just nasty with it.
Yeah.
And allegedly, Fantasia and her mother covered for this man.
Exactly.
And she even said that. And since then, she has removed that post, because wonderfully so, her husband came in as her protector. And this is what he did.
Right. He basically covered his wife. And it was so sad, because all of it stemmed from a beautiful moment. I think it was even on Valentine's Day. Fantasia was doing a concert. She was doing one of her shows. And her husband got on the stage and re-proposed. He gave her a proposal after 11 years of marriage, because he felt that he had never given her the proper proposal that she deserved. So he gave her this beautiful proposal where he honored her, and all of the sacrifices, and all of the fasting and praying, and just choosing him in their marriage each and every day. He basically was giving her flowers, and he gave her an 11-carat diamond ring for every year that they had been together. And it was a beautiful moment. It was all over social media. People were like, oh, this is so great. This is sweet. And, all of that. And next thing you know, here comes her donor saying how, oh, it was fake. And that he accusing him of all kinds of things, knowing that this was really the way to get to Fantasia, because Fantasia loves her husband. So that donor tried to steal and tarnish that beautiful moment for Fantasia. Fantasia was crying. She, when Kendall, her husband, got down on one knee, she kind of fell on one knee with him. I was like, girl, get up. Because,
let the man
stay down there
Let the man be on his knees.
Exactly.
Girl, get
that's
up.
them putting you on that pedestal. Stay up on that pedestal. You don't got to fall down there and get on there and be at his level. He wants to look up to you. But, on another note, it was a beautiful moment. She was crying. He was crying. The audience was like, oh, and it was just so heartfelt. And then here comes someone to try to tarnish it. And it's something that we see now time after time again. It's like a trend, it started way back in the day, like you were talking about with Michael Jackson, and there were other celebrities. And then just recently, one of the more recent ones is Glorilla and her sister. We even did a video talking about that. And, Glorilla's sister was going all in, talking about she is obligated. And that's the thing. They are not obligated in any way.
They're not obligated or obligated.
Exactly. In any way, shape, or form. And that is what gets these family members. Because in some instances, these family members have done horrible things to the celebrities. They have let their true color and nature show. And what you were talking about when Fantasia kind of responded back to the donor after he said all these horrible things, she ended up saying she wasn't going to do this, but this has gotten out of hand. Joseph Areno, she can't even call him dad or a father. He is a donor. They have covered for him long enough. Her mother and her have made him look like he was an okay man. But now he has come for her king. Tonight she's going to go live, and behind her will stand all who know him. So basically, she was telling how they had been covering for this man. And that's the thing. The woman is never supposed to cover the man in that sense. It's the man who is to be the covering for the woman. And that's what her husband came out and did, because he saw that his wife posted this. She even posted the mug shot and her father's most recent arrest for doing domestic with his current or estranged spouse,
which her husband told her to take down. That's him covering her.
Exactly.
He didn't want her going to that level.
He was saying how she did not have to come off of her pedestal.
That's right.
Come off of her throne. And he called her. He said his queen does not have to come off of her throne of sophistication and elegance to try to defend him. And he went and he did this 17-minute live that was saying all the things that were going on and how he was the one who was trying to basically keep a relationship going between Fantasia and her family. And at that moment, that is where you see they give these people access. And it was so funny because he said, that $3,500 that you asked for, Fantasia didn't want to give it. That was my decision. I said, because we don't want to close our hands to people. We have it, so we want it to be a blessing. So he said that he was the one who said, okay, no, give him the $3,500. And I thought it was so funny that, when Glorilla's sister went on that TMZ interview talking about all she wanted was $2,500 flat. And then here we now have a $3,500 flat.
Isn't that something?
It was crazy, but that's the thing. They keep allowing them access in these capacities. So when this donor ended up speaking out and saying these horrible things, because not only did he come after her husband, but he was bringing up, how her life being in certain situation or in danger or something like that. He tried to use her past ideations against her. He was saying all kinds of horrible things.
What kind of loving father does that?
Exactly. A loving father doesn't do that. Period. And what they don't get is that these family members are counting on getting a response from the celebrity. They want the celebrity to come out because now that celebrity has given them validation. If that celebrity uses their platform to respond to this mess, this just complete and utter ignorance, then now they get to keep their 15 minutes going.
Yes.
And that's the thing that they can learn from these situations. Don't respond. You have to ignore them. You cut them off completely. And there's nothing wrong with that. They don't have to get into this whole feeling of obligation, because even in the Bible, the Lord was saying,
who are my family?
Exactly.
And it was the people that were listening to him as he was on his assignment. Okay, he was on his assignment, and the people gathered around him. They were listening to him, and then here comes his family out there talking about, "Oh, get him! He doesn't know what he's doing. Get him!" And he said, "Who is my family? Who is my mother? Who is my brother?" So in essence, what he was saying is, you don't owe anyone an obligation to who you are when you are doing your work. And that's what he was doing. He was doing his work. Fantasia and her husband are doing their work. And these people, this person, this donor, trying to bring them down off of the work that they have been given to do. And also, he has been trying to be, allegedly, in my opinion, a money grabber for a long time with his own daughter.
Exactly.
Because he sued the book publisher.
Right. When Fantasia, after she won American Idol, I think it was back in 2004, and she wrote that book, that the Fantasia Barrino story, I think it was Life Ain't No Fairy Tale or something like that. She wrote that book in around 2005 or so, and he ended up suing Simon & Schuster, the book publisher, for $10 million because he said that the portrayal of him in that book was inaccurate.
And we see now
it was
that it was not.
And that's the
allegedly
thing. He wanted to act like, oh no, he was just getting it from the book company, but his daughter was in an open contract with the book company, which means that him suing them could have directly affected the royalties that she would have been receiving. Because what if they pulled the book? What if they did all of those things? And he has been trying to take money out of her pocket since she started. And again, it's because he came after her husband this time, because her husband is doing what he has always failed to do as a father. He was supposed to protect her, but we all know Fantasia's story and what happened, and he was never a protector for this little girl.
Exactly.
And her husband has come out and covered her and been a protector, and now this father's jealousy, this donor's jealousy, is coming through because this man, Kendall, is doing what he never did in what his role should have been as a father. And that is something that you see a lot of too when people have strong protectors in their corner. There's certain family members that mean them no good that want to make sure they remove those protectors from them so they can keep having access to these celebrities, these family members, so that they can run them and have them doing what they want them to do. And that's another thing we talk about. You have to cut them off. There's even another scripture in the Bible where Jesus says, if your right hand offend you, if your right eye offend you, cut it off. And that's showing basically how close these people are.
That's the symbolism of it. Exactly.
Exactly. And because what they're doing is they are tainting what the person's call is. They're tainting the beauty of their moments, like this whole thing right here with the reproposal, coming and trying to tarnish that beautiful moment, and then having Fantasia step off her throne to respond and go back and forth with these internet games. All of that trying to provoke responses out of people to kind of mess up where they are. It's kind of like the whole destiny swapping thing. Because the way they end up working is they're counting on the trolls in this generation, and this current trend of right being counted as wrong and wrong being counted as right. They're trying to provoke that response from the celebrity. They want to hit at their ego, so the celebrity feels they got to come out and say something. And then again, they get to end up using that celebrity's platform because that celebrity has now validated it.
That's exactly what's happening here. And I am so glad to see the celebrities come out for Fantasia and her husband. And one in particular is Ricky Smiley. And Ricky Smiley talked about those texts.
Yeah, it was so interesting because he was saying how Fantasia called him and she was just crying. She had been crying all day. She hadn't been able to sleep since her donor had done that despicable thing. And she ended up screenshotting him the text that she'd been receiving for years from this donor. And Ricky, he wanted to post the text, but he didn't know, the legalities of whether or not he could or should. But he was saying that these texts were some of the most horrific things that he had ever seen. He said that they were the nastiest texts. They were in all caps, some of them. So you know what it means when someone is texting people in all caps. They're yelling at them. He said that this man was talking about Fantasia, talking to her like a dog. And Ricky was saying that he would never say those things that he was saying to any of his children or to anyone. So these are texts that Fantasia has continued to get. And here's another thing. Cut him off. He shouldn't even have the phone number. Block that, because you don't have to look at things like that. But one of the things that Ricky was saying was that Fantasia basically was feeling mentally and emotionally messed up by her father still to this day, because that's how she felt when she was a child, and that feeling is still lingering over, especially when he does stuff like this and then tries to act like he has some sort of connection with the Lord, talking about he's trying to protect her as a father. No. Exactly. He wasn't trying to protect her. Protecting her would not have gone on a public platform and done something like that. Even if he had concerns, he would not have done that publicly if this was coming from a place of love and protection. What he was trying to do was make her vulnerable again because his manipulations hadn't been working, allegedly. He was trying to make her vulnerable by removing or maybe even casting doubt in her mind about the person who has been covering her. That's what he was trying to do. And I was so happy that Ricky was saying he's going to use his platform to counter what this man tried to do in tarnishing that moment. So he was using the whole Ricky Smiley morning show to basically celebrate Fantasia and give her her flowers, to make her feel, to recapture that moment where she was being honored by her husband. And to recapture it so that this thing wouldn't take away from it any longer.
That is so wonderful that Ricky Smiley did that. And the other celebrities are coming forth and they're responding, and they're saying that Fantasia is in their prayers and they're really being there for her. And at a time like this, I really want not just the celebrities to know, but all people to know who are being some way, form, or fashion hurt by their family, by their close ones. You don't have to feel any guilt from this, because the minute this family member comes out and does a nasty thing such as this, you have no obligation. You only need to cut them off. That's it. That's all.
All right, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.